Merry Christmas from Willis and Vere, the hosts of Comedians After Hours.
Hello, I'm Adam.
I'm George Vere.
And I'm Ian Coulter.
And welcome to another episode of Comedians After Hours Live. We're back at the Underbelly, George Square, and the Wee Coup as part of Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and today's guest is Sindhu Vee. Deafening that sound.
Massive.
Yesterday, we had one person.
In the audience, not guest. Yeah.
So this is your pulling power.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. I mean, I'm much better now after you told me yesterday's person had one audience. I'm super happy now. No, I'm good. I'm enjoying the Fringe. My kids are not here, so it's just very relaxing. I meet other comics. They're like, this is so tiring. I'm like, dude, I am literally drinking every night. And I'll take the hangover. I don't care. Because there's no one in the morning just like, mama, none. Just it's great. I'm loving it. I hope this podcast goes out, right?
Yeah, it goes out. Yeah.
I'll make sure my kids don't ever.
You don't just keep it for us.
Have they seen your show?
No.
Okay, that's
No,
probably
they're
the best.
young. I mean, it's not a show for them. It's a show about them, but it's not for them. They're young, and actually, they don't really care. I'm their mom,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you want to explain a little bit about your show for anyone who might not have seen it?
Yeah, sure. So the show's called Sandhog. I can't tell you why it's called Sandhog, because that's like the thing. It's like saying, did Emily Blunt do the murder in Girl on the Train? We can't tell you that. Got to go watch the thing.
Taking that question off immediately.
Yeah, exactly. There is no murder in my show, by the way. There's no trains either. And Emily Blunt's not brought up either. But anyway, the show is really about how difficult it is to truly and completely love anybody. Like starting with your parents. I mean, how annoying do they get? Right? And then your partner and then your kids. It's not that you hate them. It's just that to love them, you have to give up so much. It's not easy. But you do it because nobody wants to live without love. You know? Gosh, I really brought the mood down. I mean, but it's a comedy. It's about stuff like that. It's about how there's no free lunches. It is a very upbeat and happy show, is what I'm saying. It's a lot of jokes. Someone once said it's very brutal. It's brutally honest. Yeah, why not?
Do you check with any of your family before you reference them in the shows?
Absolutely not. But here's the thing. I don't give away exact details. So like people know I have kids, but they don't know exactly what gender and what age. There's a couple of things I thought, my husband will probably mind. So I went and I sort of did a version of that to him. And I said, would you mind if I said A, B, C, D? And he said, no. So then I just did sort of E, F, G, H. Do you see what I mean? It was just like that. But I'm very conscious of it because ultimately, if you are going to talk about very personal stuff, you have to have a lot of respect for the people you talk about. So, no. I mean, like, I don't check with them, but it's not, like, super specific, you know?
I think, because we saw your show, when was that? I don't know, at some point.
3 days ago.
3 days ago.
Oh,
something.
did you like it?
Yeah, it was really good.
Oh,
really
good.
good, yeah. But I think it is one of the most sort of personal shows I've seen.
Yeah.
It's very, very about you and your family.
It is. And I mean...
It's quite nice. It's quite refreshing, actually.
Thank you. And it is about how difficult it is to love. Good grief. But it's got a nice ending.
Yes.
You know? I mean, not that my family life has ended. The show has a nice ending. There's a couple of bits people don't like. One lady left.
Really?
About, the Santa Claus bit? I'm not giving it away.
Yeah.
Right. She just got up and left. And I was
yeah.
like, are you going to the bathroom? She's like, no, I'm leaving. And I was like, lady, if your trigger line is Santa Claus, Edinburgh's going to be really hard for you. I didn't say that, but I thought it.
You've had one walkout the whole time?
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's not bad.
We have loads.
Oh.
For our other show, we have loads. Come and see it. We have loads of walkouts.
Come and see it and do not walk out.
Once you've bought the ticket, it's all the same.
There you go. I mean, but no, they've been very nice.
Have you been surprised by the success of your show so far? Because am I right in saying it's your first show, your first hour at the Fringe?
Yeah, it's my debut hour, and it got sold out in the first 4 days. So that was like, what? I mean, I was like, what's happening? And but then what a stroke of luck. I mean, how wonderful. am I surprised? Yeah, I'm super surprised. But then you have to stop being surprised and think, these people have bought these tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Also, these people have taken extra time out. They've not just bought the ticket and then transported themselves into the room. They've parked their cars or got a babysitter, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even had an argument with their spouse who was like, I don't want to go see that bitch's show. It's like, no, you got to come. You know what I mean? Anything could have happened.
They've gone up the 8 flights of stairs to your venue.
All of that stuff, you know. I had to go to the bathroom and then go all the way back down. Like, lots of stuff can happen before you see my show. So I felt like, okay, this has happened, so we got to get on it, and we got to get out. I have to get out there every day. And these are people who haven't seen the show, and give them a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've been excited. I was surprised. I'm excited, and I'm pumped. What a word. What does pumped mean? I mean, like amped. I'm pumped. I'm ready. No, I'm not bumped. No, I'm pumped.
What does bumped
Pumped.
mean?
Yeah.
Bumped? I don't know. Does anyone know what that
What
means?
does bump mean?
I don't
Bump-
think.
I don't think.
Yeah, bumped is like you've been bumped. You're off the thing.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm always learning.
Always, every day. Every
Brilliant.
day.
So this is your first hour, but you've been doing the Fringe for a while.
Well, I mean, I did 40 minutes last year for 3
Yeah.
weeks. And then the year before, I did a double-hander for 2 weeks.
How much do you think your material's changed, or how you make your material has changed since you started?
When I started, I used to talk a lot about my mom and me. There were anecdotes about my mother. And I suppose in a way, I didn't know why I was talking about those things, but that they were funny. Now I have a better idea why I'm talking about the things I talk about. Like, why am I telling that joke and what's behind the joke, you know? And, I mean, you don't think about it that explicitly, but there's very few anecdotes about my mother, or all the anecdotes come back to me and my view of things, you know? So that's probably a huge change from when I did the double-hander with Ishan back in 2016. Yeah. Is that a clear explanation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, if at any point I'm not making sense, just be like, that makes no sense. And then I'll try again, okay?
That's very nice. Most
Yeah.
people don't care; they just talk.
No, but they're all sitting here.
They're very attentive.
They pay.
I
Right.
think.
They've gotten into the exact spirit of a podcast,
Yeah.
which is focused.
Yeah, which is complete focus. So the people that are eventually going to listen to this will be like, they said it was a live audience. It was not. That was a trick. They were just pretending, because there's like utter silence when this woman talks. Oh well.
There's nothing better for a comedian than utter silence when you talk,
Man,
isn't
that
there?
is so stressful. I'll tell you, 2 shows, the tech, for some reason, I don't know what she was thinking, she had my introduction mic off. So I introduced myself outside the room and come in. So I was like, please welcome to stage Sindhu Vee. And there was pin drop silence. And then you couldn't do it again. So I just kind of opened the door and looked in, and everyone was like, oh. And I was like, it's me. I mean, worst entry into a room. And I didn't know the first time it had happened, like, why. The second time, I was like, what shit is this? Why is this happening to me all the time? So I even asked the audience, I'm like, did you hear me introduce myself? They were like, no. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just come on to pin drop silence. Spoke to the tech, who was like, oops, I hadn't turned on the mic. I mean...
I suppose that at that point it's kind of arrogant. It's like she hasn't even bothered to introduce herself. She just assumes that everyone knows her.
Well, I mean, like, she's opening the door and peeking in to see, like, is there actually an audience here? Yeah, no, we fixed that.
It is quite odd. I did think that actually at the start of your show. It was kind of odd that the show starts and then the door opens and you come in. That's quite odd for a comedy show.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it also depends on the room. You see,
Yeah.
in my room, either you hide behind a curtain, which is just so fake that it's like, oh, blah, blah, and I've come out of this space that is like 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, and I was just relaxing back there. I was not relaxing. I was stuck in a box. That's not going to work, you know? And then the second thing is, either you stand in the tech box, but that's outside the door. So it's like, this is going to have to be the way that it would be in normal life, where people tend to open doors and walk in. It's just going to have to be like that. I don't have a backstage, you know.
Yes.
And it's a great room. I mean, I was lucky to get it. Pleasance Courtyard Attics. I was like, fine. Yeah.
No, it is good. How are you enjoying being at the Pleasance?
It's fine. I go there, I do my show, I go downstairs, I hang out a bit, and I leave. It's great. I mean, the Pleasance, I think, is a great venue. From what I've heard, I haven't done all the other venues, you know, and I'm not going to butter shit on the other venues in a podcast. Next year, I need something
Clever.
at Assembly. They'll be like, no.
that was a swear.
It's a great venue. And I think also, you know, it's it's a good venue to be because it gets a lot of footfall.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this idea that, if you've got to the Pleasance, you've got a great show going on. That kind of, there's that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm lapping it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ian, I'm going to pass it over to you, mate.
Okay.
Can you ask your one of 3 questions? Yeah, Ian does that before the question.
Yeah, just so you know. So you have 3 children.
I do.
Yes. Which of your children annoys you the most?
Okay, dude, there is no way that on a podcast that could be heard, I am going to do that. I will put it in a very general way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got teenagers. And teenagers, I tell you. The thing is, I was born and raised in India, where the way we were raised, like here it's like, oh, if you have a teenager, they have all this angst and there's hormone problems, you must have dialogue with them. In India, we had monologue. Where like my mother told me shit and I went and did it. You know what I mean? So I have no concept of this dialogue business. So it causes some, stuff. Also, my kids are English, effectively. I mean, they're born and being raised there. So I'm Indian. So they always look at me like, you continue that, you will go to jail. And I'm like, you are absolutely right. So, that is very trying for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let's leave it at that.
Did you want more dirt, Ian? Is that what you wanted?
No, I wanted her to answer it however she wanted.
Yeah, it's so nice.
That's nice, Ian.
That is. And I mean, his questions, frankly, are nicer because they come with music.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to end the question with some music? Thank you.
That is so nice, isn't it? I want everyone who ever asks me a question, especially my kids, to first play the piano for me and then ask me the question. That'd be so nice.
Not gonna lie, you're kind of shitting on all I can do over here now. Because all I have is a list of questions.
No, it's fine. You've got great shoes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have great shoes.
It's a podcast, that's a problem.
Yeah,
No, they're very nice. But no one on the podcast can see these shoes, so it's kind of useless. And they clearly don't care. They're literally not responding.
I don't care.
At all.
I don't care.
You
I'm
don't
sitting
care
here.
either.
Yeah. Do you care, Ian?
No.
We'll move on then.
I wanted to ask, how does our podcast compare to your podcast? A far more professional podcast.
What do you mean my podcast? You mean Comedy of the Week?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not mine. It's the BBC's, and I do the whatever hosting.
But do you normally do it in a small box?
I do it in such a, let me tell you, it's in such a small studio that when there is a guest, everyone is uncomfortable with the level of intimacy we are experiencing as two strangers. I mean, they're like up here. It's like, so yeah, your show's coming out. It's great. It's very intimate. So when I go to record that, it's like brush my teeth, wash my hair. Otherwise, the person's going to be very uncomfortable for an hour.
Whereas we don't really bother with any of that stuff because
No,
there's enough
you're
distance.
Yeah, you're like, we can
You
be
never bother, do you? I can
No.
tell that.
It's
Is
like
so
we
crazy?
can be totally gross, but it's fine. We have a big room. And also, you have such a great audience. Well, I have no audience. I have, yes, exactly. That's
there
right.
she is. There's the great
Finally,
audience
getting
sitting
into
there.
the spirit of Edinburgh gigs.
One person.
Yeah, it's and also I have the director in my ear.
Oh,
Often-
what?
Yeah, often saying things like, ask them about this, because when you get into a conversation, it can get, it can veer off, and sometimes you have to bring it back. So she'll say something in my ear. And in the beginning, I didn't know how to handle that. I would just start talking to her. And the comic I was interviewing would be like, what? Because they had no idea. I'd be like, Tuesday. They're like, huh? And then I was talking to her. So I had to learn not to do that.
When you first started out in comedy, well, how did you get into comedy? It's a better question.
Oh, man. This is something I feel like I'm going to bore them, but I'm going to go through the...
Excellent.
Good. Yeah. No,
Fuck 'em.
basically what happened is, I'll be very honest, I had never watched live stand-up. I had 3 kids. I was not about to become a stand-up, but people had said, oh, you're very funny. But, you have a few drinks, everyone thinks you're funny. So, no, it wasn't that. Here's the truth. I got an email from somebody who, frankly... Okay, the email said, those Just Giving emails? I'm running a race, so please give money to Just Giving.
Those.
It's like, dude, you want to run the race, run the race. Why am I paying you for this shit?
Yeah.
I don't, and it's not like I don't give a shit about water in Africa, but why is it now linked up to your running? And I just never have got that deal. I've never understood. And it's like, just give me a phone call and say, I want to raise money for water in Africa. Can you send me some money? Be like, fine or not fine. this whole business of I'm running a race and look my marathon and here what is this? Anyway, it was Just Giving. But the trick with this Just Giving was this person was doing a gig, a comedy gig for charity. And I'll be very honest, of the many, many unfunny people I know, she was top of my list. So I was like, she's going to raise no money. And whatever charity, this is going to go bust. So I was actually interested in the email. And I was like, what is she doing? Da-da-da-da-da. And then at the end it said, funnywomen.co.uk, which are big supporters of women in stand-up. Do you think you're funny? Blah, blah, blah. Come to this workshop. And it was that day. Like you click a link and it takes you to their website. And it was that day and it was in the evening. My husband was traveling, 3 little kids. My parents were visiting. I could hear them with the kids downstairs. And I thought, you know what? This is in London. There's going to be some English people. If I go to this thing, I'll see what stand-up is like. But also some English woman will say, do you want to go to the pub after? So I can legitimately go and drink. You can't go alone when your husband's traveling and leave your 3 kids and be like, I'm going to the pub. That's just whack. That's wacko. So I went that evening to Leicester Square to this workshop, and it was fun because it was all women. It got a bit intense, like therapy. They put us in a circle and said, what would your mother, close your eyes and think, what would your mother say if she knew you were here? 2 women started crying. I was like, oh shit, this is weird. 2 started crying. 2 took on characters of their mothers who were not English, who started speaking in some foreign language. I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, it came to me. I said a few things. It was fun. And then we learned, like, it was just really small. But afterwards, Lynn Parker and Karen Rosie, who run Funny Women, said to me, we have these awards. You should take part. And they were very persistent. And I did. And it was the heats. And I made it to the semifinal. But the interesting thing is when I was doing my first gig, I was like, oh, this has to happen again. It was very clear to me that I would do it again. And then I just slowly started doing it. Yeah.
So you open mic and stuff and then...
Oh, yeah, the whole 9 yards. The whole 9 yards. Open mic and standing in the rain, signing my name up, waiting that the night didn't get cut before my time, all that stuff.
So where was your life going before you clicked that email? What was your...
Oh, man. I had 3 kids. 3 kids. I didn't know what... I had a very, very different career previously. And so I'd been home for a decade having kids. I had one, then I missed him so much, I quit my actual job as it was, stayed home, had another one because I thought 2 is right. My husband is an only child, so I know the pitfalls of having an only child. So I was like, I got to have another one. And then after a while, it was like, this is kind of what I'm good at. So I had another one. I got a dog. All that kind of happy mom stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. I was working full-time on an advisory board for an organization called Room to Read that makes libraries and schools for children in South Asia. But that's not work. It was voluntary. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I knew I'd do something. I just hadn't figured it out. I do know that I was not happy to just be doing just that. Like one more school lunch and I would have thrown myself out the window. Plus, the other thing is, I didn't realize you have a limited quota of interest in maternal stuff. So when I had the 3rd baby, I was like, oh, you know what? I really don't want to, this has been fun. But turns out my tank is empty. So, I mean, I put her in a Jewish nursery because it had the same parking as us. It was in the synagogue. I was like, do you take non-Jewish kids? They were like, yeah. I'm like, here, take this. This kid, she used to wake up on Fridays and say to me, Mama Shabbat Shalom. And I was like, fine. And I mean, I was fine with it, and I'm very happy she did because it wasn't, I never got a ticket dropping her to nursery like with the other 2. And the nursery had other religions, but it was like, we just have to get this show, keep going, until you're 18. I don't know what's going on here. But she's the baby, she's much younger than the other 2. So, So I don't know what I would have done. I was just kind of chugging along.
So when something happens in your life now, so you have an argument or you have a conversation or the kids do something, do you write it down straight away? Or do you remember it and write it down later? Or how does that work?
No, I never write anything down. Okay. What I will do is, if I have an observation that I think, is this funny? It's not usually about the family because then that's very direct, but something will happen. Like I remember there was something happened at a school fair and I immediately tweeted it out. Twitter is somewhere where I try a lot of my new jokes because you have to have a real economy of words. Even with that new Twitter where you get all those new, they've made it like you can write a PhD thesis. But anyway, economy. But also when I tweet it out, first of all, I read it and you know how joke structure is. You think maybe. But then when you tweet it out, you see if it has legs. You see what people respond. Or, and that's where the kernel of the joke will be.
So do you get critical feedback on Twitter? Or is it just how many likes or something?
Yeah,
if you know it's good?
yeah. I just kind of let it marinate in there, Sometimes I just put it in a draft in Twitter and I go back to it. Often when I'm waiting for the kids from school, I'm just going through my Twitter drafts. Because things are funny. Some comics have a great structure of words and they can make a very regular thing very funny. But I'm the kind of comic where it's always an idea or an emotion, and that has you have to get to the heart of it very quickly for it to make sense. And then you can do what you like with it. I can have a long setup, blah blah blah, but the joke has to be that. So Twitter really helps me with that.
What do you mean by like an idea or an emotion? How does that work?
Like for example, okay, so I was at a school fair recently, and I saw a lady cut in front of a kid who had been waiting in the line to get their food. Because she was bigger, she just cut. And it immediately reminded me that 13 years ago at a school fair, a lady had cut in front of my kid to get her burger. And I suddenly remembered that to this day, I can be at any festival, and if I see a burger stall, I always stop and think, I hope that bitch choked. Now, literally, I'm
Didn't
like...
see that coming.
It was just... That is about... as a mother, the way you feel about your kid. Like, anyone here have kids? Anybody?
Not many.
You, sir. The idea that someone would cut in front of your small child makes you annoyed, yes? Maybe not to the point where you want that person to die, but hey, horses for courses, you know what I mean? So there's a kernel of truth in there about protection and motherhood and parenthood, and I think that really resonates. So that comes up in my show. But I tweeted that out and got a lot of likes. A lot of moms were like, yeah. Yeah. Die. No, I mean, why would you cut in front of a 5-year-old?
It's easier.
Sick.
Hungry? Yeah, but so was the kid. It's a kid. And more importantly, it's my kid. Don't do that.
Ian?
Yes.
Oh, music.
Yes, it's coming.
Oh.
Nice chord change.
You showing off?
A little bit, yeah.
All right, good.
What does it mean to be happy?
That is very deep, Ian.
Yeah.
Occasionally Ian comes out with something. He sits there very quietly, looking quite somber, and then there's one of these questions come
Dude,
out.
what kind of TED Talk question is this? What?
Oh, no, she doesn't
We're
like me
waiting
anymore.
on bated breath.
I know. What was the question again?
What does it... Sorry. Yeah.
What
Shut
does
up,
it
Adam.
mean to be happy?
What does it mean to be happy? What does it mean to be happy? Oh my gosh.
If you can't answer, it's fine.
One of the things, okay, so happy is when I can have gin and soda and whiskey in the same night and wake up and go for a run and not feel like crying throughout my run, which, by the way, lasts 8 or 9 minutes. So that's one way of being happy. Another way of being
Number one.
happy is any of my kids gets an A star. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm an Indian mother. That shit goes very far with me.
Number 2.
Birthdays. I love birthdays. I love my birthday. So those are the little things. There's no one thing that will make me happy.
Okay. It's a nice answer.
Happy with that again, Ian?
Yeah.
All right, play that then. Ian's question.
How true do you think the tropes about Indian parents are? Those sort of...
Completely. What? Yeah, completely. I mean, I have some friends who are like, oh, they do that whole thing about we're going to let our kids do what they want, and and the rest of us are just like, we don't buy it at all. We're like, fine. No, they're very true. I mean, I have yet to hear a comedian of South Asian descent say something about parenting that I think, what? I think, yeah, absolutely. They are very true. They are very true. I mean, it's how we are. Yeah, it's how we are. I have a sister-in-law who's super liberal. Weirdo. Complete weirdo. We don't know what that is. And she doesn't drink. So right there. There shows you there's something not quite. What's that about? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And when you bring that to like London comedy clubs, do you try and access that to everyone, or do you kind of go in going that a lot of people won't have had this experience?
No, I gig all over London, and I never ever go in and say, I'm going to tell you something most of you have not experienced it, because I always think as an audience member, you're like, why the fuck are you telling me this? I don't need some kind of preamble. The thing is, first of all, I'm doing comedy in London or even around the UK. There is enough of a history here with, South Asians that people more or less get it.
Yeah.
First of all. Second of all, I think there is a lot about the parenting that you understand, even if you've never met an Indian or South Asian parent, I should say, you understand, because parenting is a certain universal field. So even if it's something you don't do, you think, oh yeah, I would never do that, but that's crazy. You know what I mean? There's a certain universality to it. And finally, I think it's also the kind of comic you are. I tend to talk about enough things that people say, oh yeah, she's like, we can put her in a context that's more generic. Do you see what I mean? I never change my material depending on the audience. And I rarely gig to full South Asian audience. It happens some, which is delightful, because then
When does that happen?
Because there's there's a promoter, and he does all Desi means South Asian, so all Desi gigs, and I go to those, and then I can break into the lingo. I can. Speak
I didn't
in
know
both
that
languages.
was going on in London.
Well, outside London.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, makes
like
sense.
there was, is Watford technically outside London? Ish, not really.
Just
Some people are nodding.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a couple in Watford that have happened, but the only difference there is then I can do it in Hindi and English if I so choose. Yeah, that's great fun. But otherwise, no, the material's more or less the same.
How does that change when you're performing in two different languages?
It changes a little. I mean, you can just have more dialogue or have a phrase, just a turn of phrase. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I have gigged in India, there's certain turns of phrase that are English, like ish. If you were to say in India, blah, 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 ish.
Was that Hindi then?
No, ish, like like for-ish.
Yeah.
You would never say that. If you said, oh, as I said for-ish, they'd be like, wait, what? Because in India, ish means gross. So they'd be like, this is complete, we hate 4 o'clock. It's gross. Like they don't get the joke, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
do the rhythms change, or is it pretty much the same?
no. It changes. It doesn't really change, I don't have jokes that are so beautifully worded that I could, what I mean, I could. I just have sort of, no, it doesn't change that much. I guess you do change the structure of the sentence, but you got to get to the same punchline.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that hard. I think in both languages, so it's probably not easy for me to even distinguish when I'm doing that.
Some people are nodding in the audience.
Yeah. Do you speak another language besides Arabic? So you know what it's like that thing. If you think in both languages, because I grew up with both, like they're both my first languages, then I think it's hard for me to know what I'm doing exactly.
All right, so as per normal, we're going to stop here, have a brief pause to sort of say what's going on with us. But we will carry on straight away because, this one is a particularly good one, I think. So,
Yep.
It's nice to actually have some news for once. I feel like the last couple of episodes,
there's been nothing.
For quite a while, we've not had a lot of news.
Well, you started doing like a wrestling thing and then stopped doing that.
Yeah.
So the news from that sort of went away.
I still haven't been back to that, and I don't think I will.
Yeah.
What
But
about-
you met someone there, didn't you? Someone of importance.
Yeah, I met...
What, in the wrestling world or the comedy world?
The comedy world. I met Ivan. No, I met Max from Max and Ivan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
He's a nice guy.
Weird. Yeah.
George, you've been doing dodgeball.
Yeah, I think we've done all this, haven't we?
Okay.
Yeah. I've been doing dodgeball, but there's no celebrities there.
Other than you.
Other than George, award-winning comedian and actor George Vee, who of course recently starred in a commercial for Celebs Go Dating.
Recently.
Last year.
Going like this.
ejaculating into his pants.
And got paid $5,000. Right. So right, cool. So then, what was the news? Oh yeah. So as everyone, as firm listeners to the show will remember, we are
Adam's mother.
Adam's mother and dad and sister.
Yeah, good on them.
Will know that we are,
Supportive.
of course, doing a live version of this show, of this little mother, at the end of January, Sunday the 27th of January at 3:25 p.m. with comedian Rhys James at the Vault Festival. That'll be fun. So come along to that. Tickets are like £12 or something.
Yeah, come along.
The Vault website for tickets for that. And then, of course, I mean, most importantly, we have a run of a serious play about World War II at the King's Head in Islington, which is a proper theatre. So yeah, that'll be good. So come along to that. All the tickets for that, all the tickets for everything we're doing is at willisandvere.com/live. Yeah, all the dates, all the tickets. Come along to one of them. And we've just started a little click campaign as well, which is like a sort of, it's like a, what's it called, a Kickstarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Adam has a lot of knowledge about this.
Yeah.
It's like a Kickstarter campaign, but
Yes.
but through the University of Essex.
Yeah. And it's better, slightly better, because if you give
Adam is
us
from
money,
Essex. Adam is from Essex.
yeah, and we're on the bridge. That's something
yeah.
my people might not know. We're on the University of Essex graduation bridge with award-winning
big
actors.
pictures of us as well.
But they didn't put us together.
No.
They've written award-winning actors,
Yeah.
George Vere, on
Yeah,
one
it
side,
makes
and then
sense.
completely the other side,
Yeah,
award-winning
Adam
actors,
Willis.
Adam Willis.
Adam's one is under the bridge, where the trolls are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he is a troll.
Because he's a troll and from Essex.
It's not, it's on the bridge.
Adam's from Essex. So anyway, my point of that was that we've got a click campaign. So if you'd like to donate to that, there's a few little rewards, I think we're calling them. Which is like DVDs of shows. You know the fucking drill. DVDs of shows and signed shit and big fucking posters of Adam's fucking head and stuff. So if you want any of that shit, please donate to us because we need the money. But more importantly, come and see the show.
It'll be mad.
It's a big room. We've got a lot of tickets to sell, and we'd really appreciate any support we can get.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is you're laughing because my voice cracked a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, good. And that is the best way to support us, is to come and see the show. Right. Unless either of you have got anything else to say, you'll hear from all of us at the end, but we can crack on with the
No.
podcast. All right, more from Sindhu Vee.
Do you know what you're doing post Fringe? What have you got lined up?
Yeah, let me see. I'm just trying to think what I can say
Oh, okay, yeah, great.
because I work for the CIA actually. No, can I tell you something hilarious about the CIA?
Yeah.
So when my shows got sold out, this is not really about the CIA, but it comes up. When my shows got sold out, I called my parents. And I told them, I said, my shows have got sold out. My mother said, this is very good. Can you send me the name of everyone who has purchased a ticket? Because I want to put fruit for them in the temple. And I was like, dude, I cannot get you the name of everybody or anybody for that matter who's purchased a ticket. And she said, why not? I was like, data protection. And my mother said, I am not a Pentagon CIA. What? What is the connection? But she just heard data protection. She's probably watching some CSI shit. And she's like, I'm not Pentagon CIA. So I was like, it's got nothing to do with the Pentagon. And she said, fine, don't tell me. You've always been dishonest, secret-keeping girl. I was like, well, thanks, Mom. But anyway, the CIA. No, so after the Fringe, I'm working on a script.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to get made
Cool.
into a small thing initially, and then which will hopefully become a big thing. Trying to keep it secret. So that's
It's
that.
very vague at the moment.
Try and eke out as much information as we can.
Okay, there's a small thing that become a big thing.
A big thing. It will be on television, at least I can tell you that.
Okay, all right.
A small thing on television, which hopefully will become a big thing on television. So I'm working on that, working very hard on that now, like this morning and all these days.
So you're writing it now, or it's been written?
It's been written, and then the thing with scripts is it's just all the edit, notes, edit, notes, edit. Now I have so much respect for people who make TV shows. I've never made one, and I regret ever getting involved with this one. It's just edit. So anyway,
Is it like a thing with a dialogue and a narrative and like
dude, it's like yes.
As opposed to what?
Was in like?
Am I writing the news stories? No, this is like a show.
How does
Dickhead.
How does that compare to writing stand-up?
Oh, it's so different. Jeez. I mean, because the thing is, in written words, when people are acting them out, the joke has to be there, and then there has to move. The scene has to move. Da-da-da. If I don't want to tell a joke, I'm on stage. I start wandering around with my microphone, drinking water. I don't care, But no, in this, it's like the scene has to move. What is happening? Is the person being funny? Why is this dialogue in there? That word doesn't make sense. It's quite complicated. So anyway, I'm doing that. So watch out for that. That small thing that will become a big thing.
Whatever it is.
You'll know. When you come to be like, oh, there's the small thing. Oh, we heard it there first in that room in, what is this place called? Wiku? We heard it in Wiku. That's where we heard it first. So that I'm doing that. I'm going to do something else for Radio 4.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
So yeah, that will come up. And yeah, I mean, I'm not doing anything else that I know of. I'm also taking some time off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go home and see my mother and father. My father, but he doesn't say much, so I never bring him up in my comedy. He did call me yesterday and say, I have to ask you a question. Are you having 7 almonds every day? I'm like, 7? That's a very specific number of almonds. And he said, it's very good for high quality fat in the brain. My dad is like Yoda, but not green. And he also told me, eat 1 banana before bed. It has magnesium, gives good sleep. I was like, what about 7 whiskeys? I didn't say that to him, but I thought it.
When you go back, can you tell your mum my name so she can put some fruit in a temple?
She will. She genuinely will.
What will that do?
It'll give you what we call good, like it'll give you an auspicious going.
That's great. I want that. Yeah.
She's all up for that stuff.
Oh, great. Excellent. Do you want it as well?
Going where?
Like in your life, like it goes, the auspiciousness moves with you.
Yeah, can I have some fruit in the
Yeah,
temple?
fine.
Yeah.
Fine, please. Anyone who
Yes,
wants
please.
my mother, just give me your name. That's literally all she wants. I will send it to her and she will go and put fruits in the temple. Genuinely, she will do it. So just give me your name. I'm not even kidding.
Well, I want that. Ian,
Yep.
do you want that as well?
Yeah, I do want that.
All right, we'll
Good.
do that at the end.
Cool.
She might also try to marry you all off. I'm sorry, but that is the other thing my mother is an expert in. She comes to our house. I introduce her to someone. She says, "Oh, hello, are you married?" And they're like, "No." She's like, "Why not? You are very pretty." And my friends are like, this is a compliment, but why should I be married?" My mother's like, "Because soon you will be too old." And I'm like, "Okay, you need to stop talking already, Mom." So she could try and...
Ian?
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, do you ever secretly enjoy drama with your family because it means you can put it in your stand-up?
This is a really good question. People ask me that all the time. I don't, as it happens.
Okay.
I don't, because the thing is, here's the thing. I talk a lot about my family, but in everyday life, I'm just like a mom. You know what I mean? Like when you have kids, you're not really thinking of something else. You're just thinking, first of all, the 3 of them shouldn't kill each other. Who here has siblings? Yeah. Okay, let's face it. I have siblings. Siblings exist so that you know that someone could come out of nowhere and just start kicking the shit out of you for no reason. That's why they exist, right? And so when you are the person in charge of making sure no one ends up in a hospital, genuinely, you're like, stop it. And then she called me poo. No, I said poop. It's a different thing. It's kind of constantly. Then there's homework. Then, I have a teenage son. It's like, are you going to have a shower this year? What are you doing? I say to him, you've come in the room, the dog has got up and left. What is that telling us? So I'm very, very busy with that. I think the thing is, though, that my observation of what else is happening around me has gotten very heightened because it's weird. When you're a comic, you're not trying to make it material, but your mind is starting to work in terms of, I don't know how to express it, but it starts to work in terms of why this, why that, why not this, why not that, how did this, it's just constantly going. I think I always had it, but now it's come to the fore, especially when you write a lot, it sort of becomes in charge, but not family drama, really. And I don't like drama with my husband at all.
Yeah.
Because he is always wrong, and it's so hard to explain to him that he's wrong. He takes it so badly. So no, not at all.
Okay.
Well done, Ian. Do you want to play that out?
Yes.
Good.
This is the most surreal question-answer thing on the planet. I love it.
Thank you.
Right. Guys, you've been sitting there very quietly listening. It's very nice. Does anyone have a question? If you do, please raise your hand and we'll come over with the microphone.
So you win a badge if you ask the best question.
Yes, if you ask the best... Right, so at the end, everyone's going to get a badge like this, right? One of these badges. But if you ask the best question, you get a special badge with Ian's head on it.
Yeah.
Right, now these are rare, right?
I won't be getting one of those badges.
No. So, who has a question?
I mean, it
Can
doesn't
you
matter what
anything?
it is.
About
Just any
anything.
question. Just so this is not like the one podcast. Oh,
There
thank
we
you.
go, there we go. That's
Yay! Just so that it's not like no one had anything to ask her
Apparently.
at all.
So my question is, how have you found being a woman coming into comedy? Obviously, it's quite a male-dominated space, so just wanted to see your thoughts and how you found kind of meeting everyone else in the world of it.
Yeah, good question. I used to have a very different job that was incredibly male-dominated. And that was the job I sort of grew up in, you see. So I was already very prepped. I just didn't have this idea that you did things that weren't male-dominated career-wise. So in a way, I was more deaf to it. Not completely deaf, but you know what I mean. I wasn't surprised. That's one thing. The other thing is there is a lot of awareness in comedy about this. Even if nothing is happening necessarily that's changing, although it is changing, there's a lot of awareness. So I think that made me feel very supported. I think in London a lot of bills are mixed enough. There is the argument that there are fewer funny women, that's why there are fewer women on bills. It's kind of logic, you know. I don't think that's completely true. So, to answer your question, I think it's an issue. I think it's an issue that's addressed as much as it can be. Like, when it comes to the surface, people address it. It goes on underneath. There's this idea that, well, audiences don't think women are funny. I don't know if that's really true. I think audiences think that people are funny who are funny. Mm-hmm. There's also a number of gigs now which are very, very women supportive. So yeah, it's an issue. It'll keep changing, and there's more women here doing their debut hour than ever before. There's me, Catherine Bohart, Sarah Keyworth, Mickey Overman, Heidi Regan, Rosie Jones, Olga. You know, we're all here. So yeah, it's a thing, but we're going to make sure that it doesn't stay a thing.
Thank you for the question.
Good question.
Any more
Great
questions? Anyone else thought of? A few more
many.
popped up now.
I'm gonna go
Whatever you
here.
like,
I
Adam.
have the most
I'm going to go here because I'm
questions.
lazy.
Can I ask you, is your husband funny? And if he's not funny, would you like him to be funnier?
Well,
Oh.
so
The man asking the question has a few buttons undone on his shirt.
my husband is, so, you know, it's funny. I laugh at my friends who are in comedy, but I don't typically laugh easily. One person who can always make me laugh is my husband. He's got a very dry sense of humor, very one-liner. I felt for him because he was funny. I mean, I don't want to say he wasn't stunningly handsome, but it was because he was so funny. He still makes me laugh, you know. And one thing I don't do is try my jokes on him, because we have such a different sense of humor that unless it's really funny, he's like, I don't think that's funny, and that's devastating. But so there you go. He's very funny.
I'm very glad.
There was some...
We had
Yeah, there was some more over here.
lady
I'm
here.
going to go to... I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Someone there.
Pass it along, you moron.
I'll pass it
Oh,
along.
Be
sorry,
nice.
sorry.
Be nice.
Not moron.
What? We'll come back to that one.
You. I haven't seen your show because we couldn't get tickets.
Oh, I'm sorry, but are
So
you
I was
here on the
hoping-
22nd or 23rd?
No. We were hoping for some jokes. Well, we got jokes, but like the jokes from the show.
Oh, you want to hear a joke from the show?
Yeah, but that's not my question.
Okay, good.
I just wondered if you regretted not getting into comedy earlier in your life, and maybe like how would your life be different if you
Oh
had
my
them?
God. You know, I think about it once a day. No, it's a very, very good question, man. I was an investment banker for many, many years. And I loved that job. It was fantastic. I know now everyone is like, we hate this woman. But, you know, I left before the crisis. So I loved that job. And I can't look back and say, I wish I'd done comedy then. Because that job gave me a lot of stability. You know what I mean? It's hard to be a young comic. It's very hard, you know. It's you don't get paid. You're just poor forever. and then one day. You know what I mean? So I think I didn't have I needed a work visa to live abroad. So I don't think I could have done it because I would have been living illegally, being poor. And then I go home, my mother would have shot me. It should have been like, you're 23, you're not married, you don't have an income, you should die. So, I mean, that just wouldn't fly with my mother. So in that way, I don't, I know I couldn't have. I sometimes think, why didn't I come to it when the kids were even younger? But then I know in my mind that until I know, like with the baby, I was like, yeah, it's fine, she'll be okay. Like, is she breathing? Good. But with the other two, I was a very full-on mom. So I think if I had started comedy, I would have been far more torn and might have fallen out of comedy, and that would have been devastating to me. So the answer to your question is, yeah, I do wish I'd come to it younger. And then I think about it, and I'm like, it wouldn't have worked. I think I came to it now. I really came to it at a time where it could ignite, like the tinder was just dry enough. And I think that's why it's gone well. I mean, I think I've only been going 5 years and it's gone very well, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's not a great, like, I wish I could say, yeah, I really regretted it and I cry at night. I cry at night sometimes anyway, but not for this. I do think about it. Oh man, if I could have. And then I think, but it wouldn't have worked, Sindhu. Shut the fuck up and get on with this, man. So yes, there was a question at the end of this. Yeah. I thought you called her a moron. I was like, that's not going well. But
no,
I
is that
you
idiot?
calling him.
Yeah.
I know. That'd be
I was
terrible.
going to ask what you did before, but now you've
I was
clarified
an investment
that.
banker.
I know, but I was going to ask, what made the transition between being an investment banker to a comedian? Like, when did you decide, okay, I want to completely change?
Are you an investment banker?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
But
No, it wasn't like that. I was an investment banker. I had a baby, and I went back to banking because I loved my job. And if you were a tough woman, that's what you did. You had a baby, went back. All my friends had babies, went back. They all got nannies. I didn't get an English nanny because I was like, this is too English for me. Like, I'm Indian, I live in London, and now if I get an English nanny, like, what's she gonna, know? So I got like an Indian lady to help out during the day. She literally could do nothing. She gave the baby a massage and fed it. And every time there was something, she would phone me and be like, so what should I do? And so, I was pretty attached to the baby. I quit banking because I missed my kid a lot. And this was something that actually was quite shocking to me. I thought I would be MD, I wanted 4 kids. My boss had 6 kids and she was an MD. I was like, that's what I'm going to do, But I never realized how much I would miss the baby. I used to be in the bathroom crying ahead of a deal and looking at myself like, have I become crazy? Because, deals were all I cared about. And I cared about the baby more. I know, how soppy. I cared about the baby more. And so I quit. Because I was studying philosophy prior to that. I was never planning on being a banker. So it wasn't that hard. I mean, I loved it, but I thought I loved the baby more. It's kind of obvious to me. So I quit that. And then I stayed home for a decade. So it wasn't straight from banking to comedy. Banking was just something I did. And I always look back at it like something that was fun, but I couldn't really, my kids came first, and all my friends went back and they had a great time and they're gazillionaires.
But they're not right here, right now.
They're not right here, right now. Yeah, they're not. And I think there was that whole decade was tough. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't have an identity. And I'm sure that fed into my acerbic take on real life, which is what comes out in the show. And people are like, she's so dark about real life. Yeah, because I was stuck with 3 babies for 10 years and didn't sleep for like 6 of those 10 years. It made me crazy. That's what I'm saying. These are jokes, you guys. Don't get so worried. My God.
Any more questions? The fun?
Yeah.
Here. So nice. All the ladies are asking me questions and that one gentleman.
What is the best joke you've ever heard?
Oh, dude, you're killing me.
Like that's almost made you pee yourself.
I thought that this question has made me pee myself. I'll tell you that. It's so hard. I can't think of one best joke I've ever heard, and I think a lot of jokes. I remember the joke I heard. I remember a joke I used to tell as a 5-year-old, which I still think is funny. I don't know if that's the best joke I've ever heard, but it's certainly the most long-standing joke, and I taught it to my kids. None of them think it's funny. That's all I can say. There's so many jokes. I think the thing for me is there's the jokes you tell at parties, like, oh, blah blah blah. A pirate came into a bar with a steering wheel attached to his balls. It's a kind of joke I tell at parties, especially kids' parties, birthday parties, all the time. And the bartender gave him a drink, and then the bartender couldn't resist, and he said, there's a steering wheel attached to your crotch. And the pirate said, yes, it's driving me nuts. That guy's crying.
Why is it a pirate?
I have no idea. Maybe I made it a pirate so the kids at birthday parties would listen to my joke. I don't know. Anyway, so there's those kinds of jokes which you tell at parties and then have no friends. But there's also jokes I know that my comic friends do and that I love them. There's Eddie Izzard's whole bit about, the printer. Have you guys seen that? Like, I will always remember that. There's so many jokes. I can't think of a single joke that I think is the best joke I've ever heard.
Do you know any jokes?
Yeah, you could tell me a joke. Maybe that'll be the best joke I've ever heard.
I kind of know a joke, but no, I can't say it.
Oh, you can? Oh,
no.
This is a comedy gig.
It's because I have the Australian accent, so I sound racist.
Oh, no,
I can't.
Please, no, you have to tell it now.
This is happening now, surely.
Listen. You have given us the disclaimer that you are Australian and yet not racist, which is great, but your accent makes the joke racist. You got to tell us the joke. We're literally not going to leave.
No, people have probably heard it.
No, tell us. Yeah. I haven't heard it.
So it's you probably heard.
Just tell the joke. Don't worry about it. What is your name?
Connie,
listen, dude, it's a joke, and jokes deserve to be heard. Tell us the joke.
Not this joke.
Yeah, this joke. I just told you about it's driving me nuts. You can tell me this joke.
So it's a British, an Irish, and a Chinese man.
Oh.
I already know. Yeah, I can't say it.
Oh, I know this joke.
Yeah, you do. I can't say it.
Yes, it's my mother's favorite joke because and she doesn't even understand that it's so racist.
Yeah, I can't do it.
She doesn't understand that it's so racist.
Everyone else in the room doesn't know what this is.
Yeah,
right?
no, but now you really can't tell that. No, I'm sorry, you can't tell that joke. But I know the joke. That is the beauty. That is actually a good joke.
It is a good, but I can't say it.
It's a good joke provided no one remembers the next day that you told it, or that you're an 80-year-old lady that lives in Delhi and tells that joke and doesn't even realize it's racist, and you're like, okay, man, you can get away with it. But Connie, well done for giving the sort of front part, because, yeah, I get it.
And when we finish in about 5 minutes, you can all go Google whatever it was, English, Irish, Chinese.
Oh, it's such a good joke, though. Now, that's a good joke. Well done.
Any more questions? No?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, on that strange note, we'll end. Can we have a last round of applause, please, for Sindhu Vee?
Thank you for coming out, you guys.
So that was a really fun episode, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah, it was a really genuine guy. I really enjoyed that one.
Thing is, right, is that when
Essex.
No, the thing is when it's my turn to listen. Listen, you cackling fucks.
Yeah.
Christ. When it's my turn to end the episode, I have to come.
Are you sorry? Why are you saying it like
I'm
that?
not saying it
Say
weird.
that
When
word
it's
again.
my turn.
Have you ever said that? I've never heard you say that word before.
My turn.
Is that how you say that?
Apparently so.
Okay, go on.
When it's my turn.
Yeah, go on.
to do it. I'm angry. Sorry, the character's angry.
Okay.
When it's my turn to do it, you always make me redo it, and I have to try and do a sincere thing. When Ian does one, he just does an impression of me.
Yeah,
that was an impression.
And it gets.
Oh, was it not?
No.
Critical acclaim.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
So that was Sindhu Vee.
Genuine.
She's
lady.
brilliant. That's one of the best ones we've had.
Yeah, I honestly think it's one of the more insightful ones we've had into sort of process and stuff like that. And yeah, she's just. I like when they're funny, to be honest, more than when they're not funny.
She was funny though, so it's fine.
Yeah.
She was lovely as well.
Yeah.
Really nice.
A genuine
Genuine.
girl,
Yeah.
woman.
Um,
I mean, woman. She's older than us. Yeah.
If you want to find out what she's doing, you can go to her website at sindhuvee.com. You can go to her Twitter at Sindhu Vee, the letter V, funny.
Right.
You can go to her Facebook page, Sindhu
Sorry,
Vee
that was unclear.
comedian.
Sindhu Vee funny is all
So
one thing, right?
so it's at the at symbol, the word Sindhu,
I'll cut this out.
Yeah.
the letter V,
Yep.
and then funny as one thing.
I'll cut that out and just write it underneath.
Yep.
And then the next one is at Sindhu Vee comedian, but that's not a V. That's the word. V.
Fucking hell. Okay, fine.
And then the next one
all
is
the link. I'll put the
Instagram.
links underneath. Right. Check her out because, as you've heard on this, she's really funny and her stand-up's really good. And I think she was shortlisted for. Wasn't she shortlisted for the proper comedy award this year?
She
The
does
Edinburgh
all
Comedy
sorts
Award.
Yeah, I
of
think so.
shit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
she
wasn't
was
listening.
actually, wasn't she?
Yeah. So check out what she's up to, and like we said before in the previous bit, please do come and see A Serious Play at World War 2 at the King's Head in Islington. We're only on for 7 nights, but we'd like to try and get some people in.
7 mad nights.
Yeah, it will be 7 nights of absolute carnage.
Debauchery.
Yeah.
We should have one of those apps that like goes like what are those things called?
Air horn.
Air horn, yeah, like a sort of
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
That would work in the setting.
Mm-hmm.
And finally,
Dan.
so if you're listening to this the same day George put it out, happy Boxing Day.
Yeah, it's Boxing Day. Have a good Boxing Day.
We're all
innit?
together on Boxing Day because
Yeah.
we're such good friends.
Yeah, we all met up. We all went. We all well,
We
we
do
have
this-
all met up.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm talking about in the future tense.
This has been a
as if we're recording it in our living room.
This has been a tradition for us for many years that we meet up on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And
just have a laugh, really.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because you know, you might have heard in the press differently, but we are actually good friends. We're still good friends, you know. Edinburgh didn't tear us apart. I mean,
No.
there's been some reports of this.
Yes.
But actually, we're all still firm friends.
I don't like
and
Adam
that's
that
why we
much.
hang out at all
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah.
This, Diwali, Eid, we'll be together.
Yep.
Adam's, of course, got his bar mitzvah coming up.
Yeah, we'll be doing that.
Yep.
When he becomes a real man.
Yeah.
At bloody
last.
time, if you ask me.
Yeah. Ian will be the chair.
Yep. Good one.
So
And Adam Willis looks like a Buddha.
So don't spend
Adam
all,
left a pause then, as if I was going to cut that out. Go on.
don't spend all
But I talked over the pause.
don't spend all day listening to us. Spend time with your families.
As if.
And just think
And
about
enjoy.